Perfect. All right. They all got a microphone?
Yep, it's on. What's Chris's?
This isn't a, what's that?
He dropped that.
Oh.
All right, money on this.
It's actually something I always wondered why we didn't do more to let the public know that our guys are doing this. So I think it's a good thing to bring it out to the public.
One from,
Tonight, right now.
I'll show the time to be 7 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. Please begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nolan, if you could call the roll, please.
Sure. Kara Hagan,
Present.
Skylar Wetzel,
Here.
Andrea Kramer,
Here.
Georgia Holmes,
Present.
Tim Tesher, Caroline Schwarzenbach, Bob Nelson,
Here.
Krista Spillane.
Here.
All are present.
Okay, first item is to remind everybody of the conflict of interest items on the agenda. If you have any, you can speak now or abstain from any votes where there is a conflict of interest. This time I'd take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second. We approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, at this time, I have the distinct privilege and honor of recognizing some very special people here in Hot Springs, and I'm going to move out to the front here. I got a letter from the South Dakota Department of Environmental Resources that reads as such: congratulations to you from the DENR. For 14 consecutive years, the City of Hot Springs public water system has met the requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act and the state of South Dakota's regulations. 14 consecutive years of supplying safe drinking water to the public is a remarkable achievement. It's our pleasure to present you the Secretary's Award for Drinking Water Excellence that recognizes your system and the system's operations specialists that have demonstrated excellence in water system management and maintenance. And letters signed by Mark S. Mayer, who's the administrator of the drinking water program for the state of South Dakota. You know, it's something that we all take for granted, that when we turn that water tap on, that everything is going to be fine, that the water comes out, it's going to be safe for us. We don't think anything about it. But I guarantee you, having been in a position before, overseeing a base where that did not happen, it causes all kinds of problems. The things that you have to do to get that system back online and back working again and pass those tests is an extraordinary effort. So we've got a bunch of professionals that do that every day. They work hard. They don't get much thanks. And we want to recognize them tonight. So I'd ask that the following individuals would please come forward. Cole Richards, and I know some of them may not be here. Sean Heil, Mike Parmley, Gordon Wempen, and Tracy Bastion. Would you please come up and And what I'd like to do is go ahead and present this award to you, Tracy. By virtue of the authority vested in me and after due consideration, I do hereby certify that the City of Hot Springs, through extra concern and endeavor, has met all the state requirements for safe drinking water and has supplied 14 consecutive years of safe drinking water to the public that it serves, and is signed by the Secretary of DENR. So Tracy, I'm going to present that to you, and we have some individual certificates. Tracy, if there's one for you. Cole is not here. Mike and Gordon. Congratulations. And Sean. And again, I just want to say thank you for the great job that you all do day to day to make this possible. And we can drink safe tonight because of these individuals. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. We'll move on in the agenda to take a look at the minutes from the May 1st meeting. And you should have a copy of those in your package. I'll accept a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the May 1st council meeting. Is there any discussion, questions, or comments?
On the last page, the executive session, it says all council members are present. I think we probably need to correct that.
Okay. There's a correction there on the last page. We had one council member absent from that executive session, so we'll make that.
Motion to approve the minutes with that correction. I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to make that correction to the minutes. Are there any further corrections, additions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
And the motion carries. The minutes are approved as corrected. In your packet, you should have the claims, bills in between.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills in between.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bills in between. Are there any discussions, questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we look at item B, the current claims. We'll accept a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the current claims. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the current claims. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion concerning the current claims?
Yes. On page 10, the very top one is $5,664 for 60-foot utility poles. I guess my question is, how much more are we going to spend on these free lights? We've already accepted one pretty good size, I believe it was 8,000 for the lights. And now we've got another 5,000 for poles, and we haven't got wiring or labor or anything else in there.
The budget that council reviewed in the budget season or budget process in 2016 in August, or late July, early August, was $23,000, I believe, for the project. But looking at the electrician's estimate, the pole cost, the light cost, we should come in under that by a couple $1,000s.
We set $23,000 for lights at the ball field?
Yep, so with the grant that we received for the tennis courts, that's how it worked out. 53 totals that we had for the lights and the tennis courts combined.
So that's the servicing of the tennis courts also?
No, the lights is 23 estimated.
23,000? I thought they were going to be given to us.
We had donated lights. Those lights were reviewed by the electrician and our staff, and they weren't of good quality to install for the long duration. So we purchased LED lights. I think we covered that in previous council meeting.
Right, we did. I'm just saying though, I thought though we weren't going to spend any more.
So we had 53,000 with the grants we received for the LWCF for the tennis courts. Sorry, for the tennis courts was 11,000 grant for the tennis court project. So adding that to what we had budgeted for our parks improvements, we had a total of $53,000. If you work backward with that, you've got the tennis court expense, around 27, and the remainder with the lights. With that though, we should come in less than the 23,000 we have available to spend on the light project. And again, the entire process, we followed the procurement policy, and we sought the best price on everything we did.
If that 53,000 or whatever it was total park improvement?
No, for the capital improvements. So for the tennis courts and the lights, those are our two main projects this year. That's the money we had available to do those two projects.
We've got the trail going down the river.
Yeah, we had a $10,000 grant for that.
$1,000 extra in free trees that it's going to cost us.
Is there a
This stuff
question?
just
Is
keeps.
there a question here?
Huh?
Is there a question here?
So we had a $10,000
Talking
grant.
to you.
We had a $10,000 grant for the Freedom Trail extension. We had an $11,000 grant for the tennis courts. And we had a $1,000 grant for trees.
Okay. Well, I just keep wondering, it seems like every other meeting we end up with another $5,000 or $10,000 for something. I'm all in favor of the lights. I got nothing against the lights. It's just that I wasn't there the day the guy that came in and talked to him, and he told us it was all gonna be free. Well, we've already
That
spent
conversation happened.
$13,000 on free lights.
Okay.
I think all of the expenditures were gone through the appropriate committee, Parks Committee, and followed the plan, the Parks Committee master plan for the park, and I believe have all been approved by the council. So I think we can go ahead and move on. The next item, are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? If not, all those in favor of approving the current claims signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This time, is there any communications from the public? We've got a couple, it looks like. Go ahead, Chris.
My name is Chris Bonnell. I'm from the Brookside. First and foremost, I just want to give a big thank you to Krista Spillane, Tim Tasher, Andrew Kramer, and Kara Hagan for serving the city of Hot Springs the last 2 years. Then wish you luck in the future. And second of all, on May 29th is the Star Stripes and Steps event for Memorial Day. We are requesting that you guys come to the State Veterans Home at 9 a.m. We're going to be doing the Memorial Day celebration. The American Legion's doing that at the State Veterans Home. Then at 10 o'clock, the Star Stripes and Steps event kicks off, and then we have the race, and the race is benefiting the Boys and Girls Club, and that starts at 11 a.m. Then Crazy Woman Creek Band's going to be there from 1 to 3, so it'll just be a good community event to come on out to support the Boys and Girls Club and to honor the men and women who died for this great country. And third, I just heard that we have got the award for the safe drinking water. What's the city going to do if the EPA grants Argus and PowerTech those permits on drilling those wells out at Dewey and Murdoch for the uranium stuff? Does the city have a backup plan if the EPA gives PowerTech those permits?
To answer your question, Chris, no, we don't, because we anticipate if that is approved that we have to trust our EPA scientists that make that decision. Okay, and is there any other questions or comments from the public?
Yes, Scott Haynes, 1010 Fresno Avenue.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Haynes.
Haynes,
H-A-I-N-E-S.
Thank you.
Scott. At the last city council meeting, the Public Works mentioned some about doing some proposed sewer work up on Fresno Street. And I was wondering if I could be added on that long list of people that are requesting for a paved road. Fresno Street's a little unique though, because my area is the only part that is not paved on Fresno. It's a little unusual up there because 3/4 of it is kind of paved with blacktop, and then you get to my lot and it's not. About 2 years ago, I talked to the city about it, and they said to try to petition. Of course, nobody on the city block would sign a petition because they already got the paved parts, or there was some kind of issue with the city and some kind of land swap that they wouldn't sign. There's starting to be some erosion problems up on 1010 Fresno. If you're coming down on Fresno on the left-hand side, there's starting to be a little under-tunneling in the ground. And then there's also 2 parts on my property that have at least dropped a foot because I'm on the bottom of the hill, so I get all the runoff water. So I'd just like to request if you're going to tear up the road, and if it's already there, if possibly I can get pavement and maybe curb and gutter.
Okay, thank you, and we'll pass that on to Public Works to take a look. You have the name and address, Nolan?
I have just the name, Fresno Avenue. I'm gonna get you my card here, Chris, and we can talk a bit more about our options.
Well, I know last time I talked to Public Works, they had a schematic already drawn up for it and everything.
Yeah, there's a story for sure with that street,
Oh.
how the sewer was developed.
Yeah, there's a story there.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have another communications from the public. Go ahead, please.
My name is Kurt Lott, 2014 Lincoln Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the Hot Springs Rotary Club. I am the race director for Climb Hot Springs. We are doing our second year Climb Hot Springs, September 23rd. Last year was our inaugural event. We had 75 participants, and we had 15 different states represented of those people. On behalf of the Department of Transportation, it was requested that we come before City Council and ask for your permission to do this event again this year.
And we do have this on the agenda for tonight, and I assume that the council will look at it favorably.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other communications from the public?
Yeah, my name is Ron Richards. I live at 340 North 23rd Street, Hot Springs. I'd like to know, is there any plan for that former water tower lot? It's turning into a dumping ground now. There's garbage in there, there's dangerous stuff, there's kids playing on them old pipes, there's weeds. Is that organization that currently has title to that property, is there anything?
There's an entertainment center on it today, I saw, driving by it.
Well, the neighbors, me and another neighbor have been mowing it for them, the front, because it's so unsightly, we've been mowing the curb. But I just would like to know if they're gonna resolve that in the near future.
That's one of the properties that we're looking at declaring as excess, and
I think this is the
It's been signed over to another organization.
okay.
Yeah, held by,
Yeah, he's talking about the one up on 23rd.
Oh, okay.
Is that correct, Ron?
Correct,
Right.
where the water tower
That's
was.
the one that was.
It's an eyesore, and it's a dangerous eyesore.
That was actually given to,
Was that the Neighborhood Works one?
Yes,
Okay.
that just hasn't
That,
turned out.
just to give you an update on that, the city of Hot Springs, I can't remember how long ago it was,
About 2 years.
gave that property to Neighborhood Works for affordable workforce housing.
Right.
I just had a meeting this past week with Neighborhood Works on that, and hopefully we can get some action to get some homes built there that are desperately needed for our workforce in Hot Springs.
At this point, I'd be happy to see them clean up some of the mess and get some of the danger out of it.
Okay, we'll get with Neighborhood Works and address that, and I appreciate you bringing that to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can Kim look into that, try to get them to clean that up?
Pardon?
Can Kim look into that and try to?
Yes, yeah. Any other communications from the public? If not, we'll move on to personnel. We do have items A through I that I believe can be taken as a whole. I will accept a motion to accept those personnel issues at this time.
I'll make a motion that we approve A through I personnel.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that all the personnel actions from A through I be accepted. Are there any questions, comments, or discussions?
all these A, B, C, and D, where are they hired at? At the golf course?
no, they're in the maintenance department, so they do streets, parks, cemetery, upkeep.
Are they summertime help or are they permanent help?
They would be classified as part-time. Some of them work year-round on Fridays or when they're on vacation from school, but the majority of their hours worked are during the summer months.
It just seemed kind of funny that we're hiring these guys as part-time, summertime help at $9.15 an hour. Or if we hired a man as a Class 1 maintenance operator full-time, it'd be less than that.
This is a Class 1 maintenance operator, and the only reason their pay is being adjusted is because they're on an anniversary with the city. The way we approved our seasonal rate resolution is that for each year they come back with the city, they receive a quarter rate increase up to $1.
Okay, I guess if they're gonna be seasonal help, it should be hired as, this to me looks like they're hired as a permanent Class 1 maintenance operator, which means they're covered under insurance and everything.
No, they're a non-full-time position, non-benefited positions. They don't receive any holiday pay, nor do they receive benefits like paid vacation, things like that. The way we structure maintenance is Class 1 is that short duration workforce. Class 2 becomes a benefited employee.
You might next time put seasonal on there or something to differentiate.
Well, I guess it's just by making them class 1, we have to pay them more money.
There's a good incentive, you know, to get them to come back. They've already been trained.
Yeah, your class 1 is your entry level, similar to a golf course laborer, Evans Plunge lifeguard, front desk associate, things like that.
Also, I noticed we have, did we not hire a lawyer? Is he not personnel?
It would not be a City of Hot Springs employee. They're not receiving any of our benefit packages. They act more as a contractor for the city, similar to the previous
Yeah,
two.
we've got Caleb Majewski, EPMS slide dispatch. He's not a permanent employee either.
No, but he is covered by our insurance policy. He's treated like any other city employee.
I'm very confused, because this guy's a summertime help and he's covered,
I've never seen
and the
a city
maintenance
attorney.
one guys aren't.
No,
City
they are.
attorney's never listed.
The maintenance one would be covered by our insurance policy, but all of these positions, with the exception of the correction to Kim's position, would be a more temporary position, and that is reflected, I guess, in their rate of pay.
So is the lawyer a contract labor
They
then?
would service as a professional service. We don't have an existing contract with them signed, just like the previous two attorneys, but they'd be professional service to us where they bill based upon the agreed upon hours.
So what have we got that says we're gonna pay him how much whenever? Or does he just charge us however much he wants to whenever he wants
Well, I
to?
think when we received RFPs, it provided a documentation of how much we'd be billed per hour, and that was $125 per hour.
That was a job application.
It was a request for proposal, and we proposed certain hours or certain tasks that we wanted the attorney to perform, and that's the way the attorneys responded to that. That was discussed in executive session, and the council approved selecting that particular attorney at the last meeting. So
I guess
there's
anytime you've got people on a retainer, they're a contract person.
Kim,
If we were just paying them straight hours, then you could do that. But if you've got them on a retainer for a monthly retainer, you better have a contract. Or you can go to court and that lawyer will eat you up.
I think there's some other law that applies here because I made some calls today and we've never had a lawyer under contract.
We've never had a lawyer on retainer.
We always have lawyers.
We didn't have our last lawyer on a retainer.
Well, I don't know what you meant, retainer, we haven't had contracts for Ortner, Jim's Law, and I think Carol.
We have her on a retainer. We pay her $800, pay him $800 a month, whether he comes here or not, or whether he answers his phone or not. That's a retainer.
I'm not sure that's a factual statement, though. Now, what we already have in place is an email to our city attorney asking about what the city of Custer does with his firm in terms of agreement or in terms of documentation. We explained we've never had previously a contract with our attorneys.
This is a question I brought up at the admin meeting today, so I felt like we needed something where people in the public can actually see what we have, or a contract, or something that we can, as the council, approve. I know we hired him for a certain amount, but I did have questions as to how much.
We've already approved.
Just a second, Carolyn, please. And so I asked, either we get something that we can have there in the office for people to look at, or we do something in our minutes.
This is kind of a deviation from personnel. I think the direction, though, is to develop some type of rate schedule based on the RFP provided. And also, Tim, looks like you're more interested in pursuing a contract with our attorneys, so we'll look into the possibility of that as an option.
Well, I guess I'm just saying that if it comes to a legal thing like we could have had with our last lawyer over prices and hours charged and everything, if we'd have went to court with that, we're right back to the same situation that he said and she said. He said that he was going to charge us $150 an hour. But when he comes down here and he charges us $175 an hour, he's going to say, you got proof that I said $150? No, we don't, because there's nothing in the minutes, nowhere. that's discussed, there's prices discussed.
There was.
No, there was, yeah, in executive session, but that don't count.
You bring up some very, very good points here, and what we will do is we'll explore the idea of a contract, come up at the next admin planning meeting, and what we will do is get the itemized list of charges that our attorney has submitted for attending meetings and the various questions and things that we ask. And we have that in the RFP, and we can transcribe that and we'll get that
I just think
to the council.
we need something in writing with them guys. Otherwise, you're just hanging out there in the air.
Well, we hear your concerns, and we'll be looking at it, Tim, and thank you. Are there any other comments or questions on personnel? We do have a motion on the floor to approve these personnel actions. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is committee reports, Administrative and Finance. Carol Ann.
We met today at City Hall. I'm going to be sure I have this right here. No? Hold on just a minute. I've lost the minutes for you. I'll have to do it next time. I lost them. My phone just did something with them.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll move on to Airport Advisory Committee. Georgia.
I found it. Hold on. Sorry. Thought I deleted it. Old business library cleaning contract. Gary Merkel and Don were present. More work was needed on the contract, and that was requested to be at our next meeting. Misty will work with Don, and she'll get back to us on that. New business, Kim Barberi gave us background information regarding ordinances. This will be on the next admin agenda. The special meeting, June the 12th, to canvass the votes. Baseball volunteers want to donate their salary to Capital Improvement Fund for youth baseball and softball. Off sale, packaged liquor license update from Nolan. He will keep us informed as there is interest in this. The airport tractor needs repair, and it is taking care of that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Airport Advisory, Georgia.
Due to the rain, they have a delay on finishing the runway lip that's being under contract. The summer help has started out there, and the new personal hangar that's being built is up but not completed. And Ed said he put a news scoop in the paper, so everybody should watch for the airport updates. That, as Carol Ann said, the airport tractor needed repairs. I guess it's electronic and it has to go to Rapid City to get repaired. So right now it's under our budget, so it should be taken care of.
That was the taxiway construction. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
We don't want the runway out.
Okay, next, Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management. Andrea?
I was actually ill last Thursday, was unable to attend. The next meeting will be in July.
Okay, thank you. Downtown Historic Preservation Commission, Carolyn?
We met on May the 3rd. We approved an awning at sign at 702 Jennings and an awning at sign at 106 South Chicago. That's all.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Who do we get a hold of to put the glass in the windows in the building next to City Hall?
I don't know. I pointed that out too.
I talked to Kim today, and she said she's putting it on her agenda to take care of
There's a
it.
couple of them that the glass is plumb gone and there's no breaking, and on the other end, there's some that's just got chicken wire over them.
Yeah, it's been like that for a long, long time.
I didn't know if you guys had something to do with that.
I
or-
think that would be Kim.
I did talk to her today about it, too.
And George is taking
Yeah.
care of it.
Okay, Evans Plunge Advisory Committee, Kara?
We had this month a Teachers Appreciation Week. We had a Mother's Day special. We have a Plunge into Reading program that ends with the school year, but we're working with the library for the summer program for reading. And June swimming lessons begin. And we have a meeting on Thursday for the Evans Plunge Advisory Committee 5-year plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Parks and Recreation, Beautification, and Cultural Development, Krista?
There was no parks meeting since last report, but the trees were planted at Butler that were addressed last council meeting, and the staff will be busy getting ready for Memorial Day at the cemetery. Staff also spent last week clearing trees where the extension on Freedom Trail is going north to Evans Plunge. As staff is hired and trained for the summer, the weeds and mowing will be caught up on. At the Mueller Center, the city resolution was read at the EPA meeting, which was well attended on the 10th, and the blood drive on the 11th was also well received. I actually talked to the lady when I was giving blood, and she said that they come down to Hot Springs quite often because we're big donors, and they can always count on us, so yay, yes. And then coming up, we have a dance recital on the 20th at 7. Eckhart, I believe that's how it's pronounced, at 11 a.m. on the 21st Sunday. Braden auction on the 25th at 10 a.m. and a swimming sign up on the 30th at 5 p.m. And our next parks meeting will be on the 5th of June at 3 o'clock at City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Krista. Planning, Zoning Commission and Planning Administrator. Kim is not here tonight, but she did ask me to remind the growing season is underway, and so we need to just pay attention both to our city properties and through properties throughout the town. And we do want to keep Hot Springs looking nice, so we'll keep the grass trimmed and weeds knocked down. Public safety, Bob?
Public safety will meet this Wednesday, City Hall at 2 o'clock.
And Public Works?
Public Works met on May 9th at City Hall. Tracy was there, Nolan was there, Tim was there, Maricotti and myself. The list of the minute meetings that was sent out to the council is quite long. I'm only going to talk about the ones that have any significant updates to them. The first one is the Evans Plunge roof bid opening. There were 3 bids received for the Evans Plunge roof replacement. Tracy is reviewing those bids to ensure they meet the engineering specifications. Once he's complete with that, we'll take a look at them again and see which one is advantageous to the city. The Boulder Falls Road project, the mayor mentioned last week that it was approved by Rural Development. The first publication of the project will be on May 30th with a bid open and award on June 5th. There will be a meeting with interested bidders for the project on May 19th. And between the opening of the bids and the awarding of the project, there will be a meeting with the affected property owners. Marking of Thompson Street, that's the one that we approved last year, no parking on the south side. That's going to be moved to June when the rest of the market and the downtown streets are done. Surplus property of buildings, city lots. 3 city-owned properties: the old water fill station property, the old water tank property on Happy Hollow, and the old armory were discussed. The Planning and Zoning Committee has been asked to look at those 3 properties and make recommendations about what options are available for each property to encourage development of the lots for workforce housing. New business, the 2017-2018 big bridge improvement grant for Jennings Bridge. The funding for the replacement of that bridge wasn't received during the 2017 grant period. The project didn't score high enough compared with other bridge replacement requests to be awarded any funding. The city will continue to explore what steps can be taken to raise the points necessary to improve our chance of receiving grant funding for the bridge replacement in 2018 or 2019. Update on the water storage tanks 5-year inspection. City tanks received their 5-year inspection with no necessary repairs, and both tanks were cleaned during the inspection. That's all.
Thank you, Bob.
Can I make a note that May 17th, I think, is a planning and zoning meeting on that, on those city lots. I think they're going to look at those. Isn't it May 17th?
Okay, great, thank you. Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee, Skylar?
We had a meeting and we talked about adding a new committee member. We also talked a little bit more about road safety in front of the clubhouse. And Nolan and Jason have been working really hard on pin placement sheets. So our next meeting will be May 22nd at 5 o'clock at the clubhouse.
Okay, thank you, Skylar. And Volunteer Fire Department, Andrea?
Last month after the meeting, they voted a new fire chief. The new fire chief's name is Darwin Coy. And he ran his first meeting here this last Tuesday night. The meeting minutes were read and approved from last month. There were 8 truck reports read. So there were 8 times you guys heard the whistles here this last month. There was 1 new member that was voted in who had passed their probation period. They had the first wildland fire of the season this last month, so please, they talked about being careful for sure. The rain definitely has helped with that. They talked about the propane leak and the structure fire on Albany. The freshman impact was a success that they held last month. They discussed the June and July training calendar. They're currently setting that up. I'll be able to report back on that next month. And they're ordering additional gear and boot fitting again coming up again. They also agreed to do a donation to the Haskowitz Golf Tournament, which will be coming up here as well. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. And again, thank you, Council. These people go to a lot of extra meetings and do a lot of hard work on our behalf, so thank you for your extra effort. Moving on in the agenda to resolution item A, resolution 2017-11, a resolution to appoint an election board. We do have an election coming up this summer, and those that have been nominated for the board are Superintendent Laura Batchelor, Clerk Peg Spurlock, Clerk Fran Burkhold, Clerk Judy Hansen, and Clerk Pam Anderson. You do have the information in front of you for that resolution. I would accept a motion at this time to appoint the election board for the June 6th election.
I'll make a motion to appoint those Laura Batchelor, Peg Spurlock, Fran Burkhold, Judy Hansen, and Pam Anderson to the election board.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we appoint this election board as read. Is there any further discussion, questions, comments?
I have a question. It talks about the rate of $105 for the day. Is that per individual or for the group?
Per individual.
Thank you.
Otherwise we get a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
It's about 12 or 14 hour day, I hope so.
Yeah, we appreciate these individuals taking up that very important civic duty for us. If hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion and resolution is approved. Moving on to new business, item A, we have a possible motion to approve a temporary alcoholic beverage license application for the Hot Springs Vault for the Stars, Stripes, and Steps event at Centennial Park on the 29th of May. This is a public venue, and the applicant is a current license holder. We do not have to have a public hearing to approve this. I'll accept a motion at this time to approve that alcoholic beverage license.
I'll make that motion for a possible, for a temporary alcoholic beverage license application for the city Hot Springs Vault Stars Stripes Step event at Centennial Park on May 29, 2017.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this temporary alcoholic beverage license. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we have a motion to endorse the Rotary Club's Hot Springs, Klein Hot Springs event on September 23rd, 2017. And this was brought up at our last meeting. We placed it on the agenda tonight for the council to consider. I'll accept a motion to endorse that event on September 23rd at this time.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the motion to endorse Rotary Club's Klein Hot Springs event on September 23rd.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we endorse this Klein Hot Springs event. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, we have looking for a motion to surplus some Mueller Center curtains. With all the new lights and sound and painting that occurred above the stage, these curtains that we have now are no longer necessary for the facility. The anticipated value of the curtains is less than $500, so we do not have to go out for bid. Is there a motion to surplus these curtains?
None of us know which ones they are.
I'll make the motion to surplus the Mueller Center curtains.
I'll second that.
Can you describe where they're at or what ones we're talking about?
They used to hang on this empty rack there. So we no longer need them based on the new configuration.
They were like pieces or what?
Some were baffle-like, I believe. The other one was a full drop curtain.
So not the ones that are existing?
Everything that's here stays here.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And they're the red ones like these?
I'm not sure the color of them.
Remember.
I believe some are black baffles that hang above, where this new light set is all set up.
So they probably get hot or something with these new lights?
Well, I think
they're just
just
for
to
space.
fit the new lights and also speakers that will be going up there, they need to be removed. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of surplusing the curtains signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Say no. I don't understand that, but
So
that's
is
okay.
that a no vote then?
Yes, it's a no.
Okay. And we have item D, the motion to surplus the squat rack from the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs. What we've had down there is a homemade rack, and it's being replaced with a professional grade squat rack, which will serve our members better and a little bit safer overall. This new squat rack was purchased on sale for less than $200, and again, the old rack is less than $500, so it won't require a sealed bid. I'll accept a motion at this time to surplus that squat rack.
I'll make the motion to surplus the squat rack from Plunge Mineral Springs.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded then that we surplus this rack. Are there any discussion, questions, or comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We will not have a finance officer report tonight. Misty is away on, not vacation, but she has an illness in the family. City Administrator report, Nolan, could you update us, please?
First off, I think on behalf of the city employees, our thoughts are with Misty and her family in her absence. I know it's a difficult situation. She had to fly down to Texas for that, so she was gone some of last week and also today. She should be back in the office though tomorrow. I know just from today, she's got lots of email to get caught up on, mostly sent by myself. So, and then with that too, as you guys go through the minutes, next time be sure to double check them because I wrote them. They'll be a little bit different than how Misty does it. But I think I captured tonight's meeting decently well. Information for the public, the tennis courts, we do plan to resurface those in the very near future. Tentatively, we're shooting for this Friday, the company actually coming here to begin that project. So you'll see our staff prepping that area prior to that project starting. Now that said, we see the weather for this week is a lot of rain being forecast, so we might be pushing that back based on either the company's schedule or just the weather delaying it a little bit for us. If it gets delayed, I was told the beginning of June is the timeline for that. How that impacts you and the public, when it's being done, we can't let anybody onto that court to use it for any purpose. So it'll be fully closed for the duration of the construction period. Once we have that period locked in, John will coordinate with you and make sure the public knows not to interfere with it. You know, it's a little bit of a sacrifice for 2 weeks while it's being done, but once it's done, we should be good to go for at least 5 years once it's resurfaced. Other improvements we're making, you know, there's questioned a little bit during the bills, but we did receive a decent amount of grant money in 2016 to expend in 2017 for our parks. It was nice to see we got 14 new trees planted in Butler Park following the Tallgrass Master Plan to develop that shade canopy by the high school baseball field. With that, we're looking in 2018 to reapply for that similar tree grant application for a different approach. This time it'd be for multiple sites. I know the library is in need of some trees, as well as the airport and possibly some other entities. I did find out also that we can apply for a grant for tree removal and tree pruning. So we can actually apply for up to $2,000 in tree fund grants next year, $1,000 for new trees and $1,000 for tree care and tree pruning. So we'll definitely be sure to be aggressive in that. You know, our cost can be in kind, so if we have employee labor time to it, which we already do, we can use that as our $1,000 matching fee, which is nice, kind of stretches our dollar that way. Other improvements, the Freedom Trail, we did get a start on the extension last week. We were able to get the assistance of the Department of Corrections crew to come in, and we spent Monday through most of day Friday clearing that stretch from Evans Plunge to Upper Chautauqua Park. And actually we got a little bit ahead of schedule, so they went behind Evans Plunge and ventured through some poison ivy to clear the channel back there, which we appreciated. And then with that, we did budget in our professional services out of parks to incur that expense, and the additional $10,000 we received as a grant would be for the crushed fines or the limestone base that we would then rough in for the rest of this year. Our maintenance department's been very busy in the parks, making capital improvements this last couple of weeks. You'll see in the next few weeks our attention turn to the grass. You know, just like your lawns and my lawn, the grass grows like crazy right now. And this week we got lots of rain, next week lots of sunshine. So by Memorial Day it should be just a forest. But we are going to devote a lot of staff time next week to doing the cemetery. And then once our summer help kids get fully onboarded, work 5 days a week, they'll do a lot of weed trimming as well. You'll see some of our parks, we mow them, but we haven't weed whipped them yet. So we'll get caught up on that, and we hope that you as property owners do the same with your property. To like what George said, Hot Springs, beautiful, especially over Memorial Day. That's kind of our kickoff for tourism season. We want to see our downtown, our parks, all of our green spaces, make a great first impression or a second, whatever impression it might be on folks coming through. On that, for those of you who have a downtown business and you're concerned about the cleanliness of the streets, our street sweeper should be scheduled for a repair Wednesday of this week or at the latest Wednesday of next week based on their technician. And once that's done, you'll see the downtown and then other key streets and then eventually neighborhood streets getting cleaned up from their current state. So please be patient with us as we do that. It'll happen. Our goal is by Memorial Day for the town to be looking pretty sharp.
Nolan, I noticed they cut the tree down there by the corner today, I think, by the plunge. How many of those trees are going down?
In the pocket park, the Vulcan Park. Initially, the plan was for those 2 trees. There should have been 2 trees, I believe. Is that right?
Possibly.
Okay, those 2 trees that were actually mostly dead trees to come down. And then with that, we have a parks plan to develop that, most likely in 2018, depending on how we budget it, to do some vegetation updates, where there'd be taking some of the vegetation off of that sloping wall, the Summit Road wall, and doing a concrete retaining wall to stabilize it. And then we do some low maintenance vegetation improvements along the perimeters with a potential gazebo in the corner. So yeah, the Parks Committee is actively working on a plan for that. The next step for that plan would be to go through the budget cycle to establish funding for that park improvement.
So we're not getting the gazebo this year then?
We may get to it to install it. It's just a matter of our priorities with parks. It's not on the top of our parks priority list, but as we look to 2018's parks improvements, that park development as a whole is on our list, which would include the gazebo placement if it's not done in the fall of 17.
Okay, thanks.
When did they, I got a question, when did they change the new trail from being between the river and the bank to being between the river and the street? I thought originally it was going to be on the other side of the river.
I think when we applied for the grant and we went through that process, initially it was a couple of years ago, right after I started, but then just recently the grant we were awarded, that's when we decided to be most economical and most passable that we opted for this trail between the river and the roadway. So at least a year and a half is the timeline for that, with the application being the solidified trail. Now at some point, as the budget permits, it'd be nice to have kind of a single track winding through on the hillside, because that is city property. But from a pedestrian access standpoint, we'd like to continue the Freedom Trail similar to how it currently is with the grade and width, and to do that would be most economical to go between the road and the river.
Okay, thank you, Nolan. And the last item on the agenda is Mayor's report. And again, just want to add a little bit to what Bob briefed on the Boulder Falls paving project. We'll be looking for the sealed bid openings on the 30th with a contract award scheduled at the council meeting on the 5th of June. We are having a pre-contract meeting with prospective bidders on Friday, May 19th, and that'll be at City Hall. And once that contract has been awarded and prior to mobilization, we'll be having a meeting between the contractor and invite the residents and lot owners of Boulder Falls to open doors of communication and find out exactly how the construction will proceed, so that we'll have a good two-way communication between those that are doing the construction and those that are being affected by the construction. One thing that we are diligently working on is that we have 3 property owners that have not signed the easement agreements to provide cul-de-sac at the end of their spur streets. And we're diligently working to obtain those agreements so that we can safely provide garbage service, emergency services, and snow plowing to those lots. So we hope to get those approved easements within the next couple of weeks. As mayor, I'll be making a proclamation at the American Legion on tomorrow that the 26th to the 29th will be Poppy Days in Hot Springs, the Veterans Town. As you know, every year before Memorial Day, it's been a long-standing tradition in America to honor our fallen heroes who died in the name of freedom, to wear a poppy. And we want to keep that tradition going. And I'm very honored to have that opportunity to make that proclamation on behalf of our veterans and those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And that concludes my report. I guess at this time I would accept the motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion for adjournment.
Been moved and seconded, we adjourn. I assume there's no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.